Sunday night, we got our first big FAAB weekend of the year, I think. We got a lot to talk about. We'll be talking about that. We're talking about a lot of baseball. Talking about Steph Curry, the legend, all coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. And you can please rate or review the podcast. We do appreciate that. If you enjoy listening to us, hopefully we help you out. Leave us some stars. A nice comment does go a long way towards helping us out. Jeff, we're what are we, third, fourth week April in here? Like fourth week of FAAB. How's everything going in your world?
Going well. Busy times. Teams are mixed bag, but that is to be expected. That's just life in the big city. It's early on, and sometimes you just run the gamut of injury luck there. But doing well. Otherwise, our Reds were fun today. That's for sure.
It's so funny. They scored 24 runs, and I'm like, I wonder. Ellie and Matt McClain must have gone crazy. Then I realized the bottom two guys in the order drove in 13 runs.
Yeah, but Ellie made his mark early in that game. He homered. He stole a base. He made this incredible defensive play.
That catch was insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Put that in the Louvre.
Yeah. First, that was just the fact that he was like behind him already. It was a crazy catch, but it was just funny when you have your big guys in that game. You're like, oh, I hope he drove in 6 or something like that.
Yeah. That's true.
I think the Orioles threw 2 position players. I think Jorge Mateo through the 8th and maybe Gary Sanchez the 9th, something like that.
They threw it all right. Oh, yeah. Especially Mateo. Oh my God. Hey, I'm not complaining. I'm a Reds fan. B, I had Noelvi Marte active in a league this weekend in the NFBC main, actually, because it's all due to the Friday snow out for the Rockies. So I benched the utterly boring Ryan McMahon, thinking that maybe there's a chance he only plays one of the 2 games in the doubleheader, or maybe they make it up later if the weather was bad the rest of the weekend.
Yep.
And Marte was in the lineup on Friday, and so it's not like he did anything until today, but my goodness, he made up for it today.
Yeah, you drop that kind of game and a guy you slid in just on the weekend. That's always a really good feeling. It doesn't happen too often. When they do, you got to enjoy them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to talk about a few players before we do jump into FAAB. Lots to talk about in FAAB, including a really big name that was available in a lot of leagues. But Yankees are playing good ball. Max Fried, Jeff, really pitching well right now. Seems like he's healthy, which I think was the only question people had coming into the year. There, he had that kind of some of the forearm issues last year that plagued him a little bit. People were worried about that, but man, he 7 more shutout innings, 7 2/3 actually, only 2 strikeouts, but only 2 hits, 2 walks. Dropped his ERA at 1.42. He's kind of saving the Yankees pitching staff right now.
Yeah, the much maligned Max Fried. Oh, that's a trap to draft him at his going rate, guys. No, I got the arguments against it. He's had the form issues in the past, and a few good starts in April won't erase that. So right. We can't declare victory or declare a mock on others, even though I kind of just did. But he's. And the thing is, he did this in Tampa, which has been very, home run friendly so far. Took that no hitter, and I think there was like a scoring change, so it was like a very underwhelming conclusion to the no hitter bid, but still great outing. And he's been saving that rotation, and a rotation that doesn't have Garrett Cole all season, hasn't had Lewis Heel yet. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, he really has. They didn't have Clark Schmidt until this week. It's been kind of a mess, and they're playing good ball right now. They're 14-8. They're leading the East right now. But Fried is out. Fried's really stepped up. One of those guys. I really like Max Fried. I'm hoping he stays healthy. Strikeouts are back up a little bit. I know he didn't have any today, but they are back up to it was 27% for today, so maybe that'll drop a little bit. But he's been great. Yeah,
he has. Congrats if you had him, and just missed out on him in the main. Well, I passed on him to get Pablo Lopez, and and then I thought, okay, maybe I'll get him. We could have gone with 2 starting pitchers there instead. I think I went Pablo Lopez and Brent Rooker, and I'm not going to complain about Rooker. But Fried almost came back to us in the 7th. That's the part that's frustrating.
Right. Oh, still there? Oh,
yeah, I'm still there. I cut myself off very abruptly.
Oh, there you go. So speaking, we're talking about Rooker in the AL West there. Cal Raleigh had 9th home run Sunday, tied Tyler Strosman for the lead. Cal Raleigh is, he's been the guy for catchers in over the last 3 years of home runs. starting off huge this year. He only has 15 RBIs. It's not has a lot of solo home runs in there, but 9 home runs and very sneakily 3 steals for Raleigh also.
Yep, and he is sneaky that way. And he'll still sink your batting average, especially when they go back home to Seattle. And that's the thing about them right now is they led base. I was looking at this on Friday at the start of this series against Toronto. They led Major League Baseball in road. I think it was road WRC plus. I think was the stat that they were tops in. Good measure for total offense. And that's a little surprised because we've spent a lot of time ripping on them for not improving their offense this offseason. And granted, they finished the series where they are playing in Great American Ballpark there, and did what they did there. But the fact is, I mean, they have been hitting pretty well on the road. Had a nice little day today, that's for sure.
So I want to talk about a couple of guys who are struggling. One of the guys is someone that I think you and I both faded a little bit is Luis Robert in Chicago. We're worried about counting stats, worried about the strikeout rate, but it's been a rough start for Robert. He does have seven stolen bases though, so he's like kind of saved people a little bit there. But 2 home runs, hitting a $154 after going 1 for 5 today. It's looked rough. The strikeout rate is down a little bit. He's walking, but just nothing falling in right now for Robert.
No, he was a stay away this year for me. I just didn't think he was, after. I just don't think you can appropriately put into context how bad this White Sox offense is, and how it's going to drag him down, even if he were hitting well. The fact that he's not doing well, I mean, we do this, by the way, I'm sorry I got distracted. Guys, we will get to free agents. This is our structure. We've been doing this podcast together for about 10 years. We do the news of the day first. We will get to free agents. I promise. Be patient, please.
We will do lots of free agent talk. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So anyhow, just had to say that, but it's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, where was I? Back on Luis Robert.
Yeah.
Just the team context is terrible. He wasn't actively good last year.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have believed in him, I think, in terms of like him being the same player that he was before all these injuries occurred.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because this guy that was just an absolute stud a couple of years ago, and it's tough to see. He does have the strikeouts down a little bit. I was really worried about the 33% last year, but he is at 26%. He struck out twice more today. Man, it's so rough. The stolen bases might make up for it though. He does have 7. If he can drop in 35 steals, something like that, maybe he works out. But it just the hitting has not been there so far. A guy who has a good lineup context who's struggling right now is Jazz Chisholm. Really interesting year so far for Jazz. He has 6 home runs, 5 stolen bases. The counting stats are good there, but he's at a $157 right now, and he's got a really big strikeout rate right now too. He's at 31% after today. Another 0 for 4 today. Man, he's hitting 157. Are you worried at all about Jazz at the moment? I know the home runs and steals are there, but are you worried at all right now that this batting average might have a floor to it?
I think the batting average is a problem because of the K percentage. But I wonder, is this actionable in I don't think it's really actionable in a non-trade league. I don't think you're going to bench him. Nope. In a trade league, do you sell low? I think that is the question.
Yeah, I'm not selling low on Jazz. It's funny how the whole torpedo bat thing kind of just went away, didn't it?
It has. It really has.
It might have just been the Milwaukee pitched really badly that first series.
Yep.
But yeah, a couple of notes. Man, I'm looking at teams. Man, the Royals are really struggling on offense right now. They've only scored more runs so far than the White Sox. They're tied with the Rockies. The Royals have 11 home runs as a team right now, Jeff. It is a rough offense in Kansas City at the moment.
So they were bizarre last year. Remember, we looked at that lineup and we're like, how are they scoring as many runs as they are? Because you looked at Bobby Witt Jr. Okay, it was amazing. Sal Perez was great. And and the bottom 5 spots in their lineup, maybe bottom 4 spots in their lineup were terrible. And you're like wondering why, how could they, have a plus 90? I think a lot of this was they were playing they played very well against the White Sox, beat them up pretty good. I mean, they still have decent pitching, but this is not a good roster. It's not a good lineup. And they try to address it there a little bit. Jonathan India has been horrible since coming over. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, and they got a lot of guys who are struggling. I mean, even Sal Perez is a big problem. He's at $182. The slugging is under 300 right now. 2 home runs, 10 RBI. And Bobby Witt's kind of getting the brunt of this. He has 2 home runs. He's hitting 307, but he only has 9 RBI. It's just tough to drive in runs with nobody on base.
Yeah, and India was supposed to kind of address that a little bit. He hasn't. Newsflash. Well, and the thing is, he's walking, but the problem is he's hitting 219, so his OBP is only 329. He doesn't have any extra base hits either, or 4 of them. But I'm saying not many, I should say. Right. And there's Vinny Pasquantino's hitting 192 behind him. So there's that. So they just, if you look up and down that roster, there's a lot of guys that are just like Kyle Isbell starting for you, Hunter Renfroe starting for you, Mark Canha, Michael Massey, some combination of that as the DH. Yeah, I can see why they're struggling.
Yeah, and I do think Sal will be fine. I mean, you look at his hard hit rate's 49%, barrel rate's like 17.5%. He's got a low BABIP, but I think he'll come around. But man, like the rest of you guys you mentioned, I mean, they finally sent MJ Melendez down this weekend, but the rest of you guys you mentioned, it's rough.
Yeah, and Melendez was maybe one of the more disappointing prospects because you and I both at times were on him.
Yep. And I finally quit MJ, and I'm glad I did.
Yep.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to ask you team wise, man, the Orioles starting pitching is brutal right now. I don't know. Obviously we talked about the Reds scoring 1 million runs on them, but man, you look at, Charlie Morton's over 10, Dean Kremer's over 6 ERA, Cade Povich is over 6. We talked a lot about the trade deadline last year about the Orioles had this stud team, all these young offense players, didn't do anything pitching wise, didn't really do too much. They added Sagano, but man, this pitching staff is brutal, and I don't see the way how they get out of this. Their starting pitching is awful right now.
It really is, and unfortunately, some of this is predictable. I mean, Morton being this bad, not that predictable, but the fact that it was not good enough, I think, is predictable. The fact that they didn't, they lost Corbin Burns, they lost an ace, and they reacted by bringing in Charlie Morton and Tokoyumi Sagano, who actually Sagano pitched well in his last start.
Yep.
So he actually gets a little bit of grace here, but and they got unlucky. Zach Eflin got hurt. Grayson Rodriguez got hurt. But counting on those two being the top, 1 and 2 starters in a tough division, you knew this was a bad formula.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at Morton, I mean, you hate to see it. I mean, he's 41, but the cliff might be here. The swinging strike rate's under 9% right now. Strikeout rate's down, walks are up. It's tough to see this one turn around. He's giving up a ton of hard contact too. Really tough combo when you're not striking guys out and you're giving up a ton of hard contact too.
Yep.
But so let's look at week 5 a little bit as we get into the kind of the fantasy aspect here. We've got only 4 teams of 7 games a week. A lot of off days this week, which is never great when you get this deep in the year. We're hoping for a little more games, but Red Sox and White Sox have 7 games in the AL. Giants and Brewers in the NL. There are a couple of 5 gamers this week, Jeff. Cubs and Dodgers only have 5 this week, so definitely something to note there. They play a 2-game set early in the week.
Yep, that's right. And they get the Monday, Thursday off thing. I feel like they played each other like 15 times already. There was the Tokyo series. They had the 2 out of 3. They had the 3 in LA already. It's like, okay, play somebody else. It's fine. You're allowed to do that. But they'll be done with each other after this. And honestly, I think both teams are pretty happy with that they'll be done with each other because they're 2 of the better teams. I mean, we didn't really get into that too much here tonight, but we've talked about it before. The Cubs have a good offense. They're a team to be reckoned with.
20 more runs than anybody else in the league. I know they played a game or 2 extra because they played early on, but it's kind of evened out now. And they have they have 20 more runs than anybody else.
Yeah. Yep. And yes, they played in Windmageddon on Friday, but they scored 6 runs with the wind blowing in on Saturday. So yeah. I mean, they're just a good offense. Yeah,
they got 145 runs. Yankees are next with 126. And Arizona, sneakily, we talked about them a lot last year. They were leading the league in runs during the most of the year, and they're right there again. Their offense is good again.
Yep, exactly. Heads up on the 7 gamers, by the way. The 2 7-gamers are in the AL are the Red Sox and the White Sox. That includes tomorrow morning's Patriots Day game, which is at 11:10 a.m.
It's here, Jeff. It's here.
Yep, it is my least favorite game of the year. It's just scrambling to set lineups, and it's even exacerbated a little bit this year because my radio show starts an hour earlier. So it starts at 8 a.m. Best Coast time. The game starts at 8:10. So I have to do everything's front load. Basically, I'm going to set my lineups tonight, and you should too.
Yeah, I will definitely set all White Sox and Red Sox tonight, and then take a look at the lineup in the morning as well. Just a couple of notes on the schedule this week. The A's are in Sacramento for all 6 games this week, so that's I think that's we're pretty sure that's a pretty good offensive environment. Probably get better in the summer, but they host the Rangers and the White Sox this week. Should be a pretty good week for A's bats there, especially against the White Sox. Against Texas, they do face DeGrom, but they get Patrick Corbin and Kumar Rocker, who have not been, not great there. But it's a pretty good setup right there. But I see our friend Mike Armstrong, Chef Mike, in the chat talking about Kyle Tucker. Good joke there. I was convincing him to draft Kyle Tucker in his the Midnight Madness draft, so it's pretty awesome. Kyle Tucker's been great too. Jeff, our Reds also have a good schedule too. 3 at Miami, 3 at Coors this weekend. Should be a lot more runs for the Reds this week.
Yeah, but not bad for the pitchers either. No, which is good because that bullpen got used up pretty good this weekend in Baltimore and in the Seattle. The Thursday game against Seattle too, where so they had Carson Spires basically eat 4 innings on Saturday, and that did a good job of saving the bullpen. They did a kind of a ragmatag thing here because Nick Lodolo was on paternity leave over the weekend. Now he gets the Leafs. I mean, he gets not the Leafs, excuse me. He gets the Marlins. I don't know why I said Leafs, but
who are the Leafs?
Yeah, that's the wrong sport, eh? Yeah, they catch a break because they're going to need that break going in the Coors Field later this weekend.
It's so funny. I saw that note on Lodolo. I'm like, what? He's too young to have a kid. And I realized he's 27. I kind of always think of him as like 23, I think.
Yep.
Some notes, injury notes, real quick here before we do get to free agency. You mentioned the Rockies just now. Ezekiel Tovar on the 10-day IL with a hip contusion, so definitely get him out of your lineup there. Big news in Arizona, though. AJ Puck, 15-day IL with left elbow inflammation. Puck is obviously somebody who has had plenty of injury issues in the past. Do you consider AJ Puck a drop? I don't think we know enough to answer that fully, but if you had to make a decision this weekend, were you holding or dropping? Are you holding for 1 week?
Oh, easy hold.
Okay.
Easy hold. Too good of a pitcher to give up on right away.
Yeah, you hate elbow inflammation, so it might become an easy drop pretty quick. But I think that getting some more news is probably a good idea.
Right. Justin Martinez not available today due to fatigue, also. So just a heads up on that. So they're all messed up. Joe Goforth and Mantiply got sent down after Win Mageddon on Friday. All of a sudden, that Arizona bullpen's in shambles.
I used the Goforth and Mantiply towards a few people this weekend, and they had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's okay. With my little puns, all it takes is an audience of one. One person gets it, makes me happy.
Kerry Carpenter, who a masher for the Tigers. I love watching Carpenter hit. Left early Sunday with right hamstring tightness.
Yeah,
he's going to go from some tests. I did not like the tone of that one.
No, I don't either. And honestly, I have a lot of Kerry Carpenter in my life, so I'm definitely sweating this one.
I am too. That's a tough one. That's one that he's starting to play against lefties too, which is what we're concerned about. But a 50% hard hit rate. He's already got 5 homers. It's just he was hitting for a good average too. That's I'm worried about that one because I don't think he's going to avoid the IL. I hope he does, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tyler Glasnow left Sunday start early. I think that happens. Everybody immediately freaks out. It was like lower leg cramps. Sounds like he'll be okay.
Yeah, but it's always something.
Always something.
It's always something. That's why people freak out. I get tired of it. I don't have him this year. I kind of was like, I'm get me off this crazy thing.
Yeah, he was pitching really well today before he had the leg cramps too. It was too bad. He only got through 4 innings and it was looking really good. But you're right. It is always something there. Mets third baseman Mark Vientos left early Saturday and missed Sunday with groin discomfort. They kind of downplayed it, but I'm a little bit worried about this one too. I have Vientos in a couple places. He's just starting to warm up, had a couple home runs finally. But I made sure I had a backup for him because I'm not too pleased with this one either.
Yeah, me too. Just coming around in the main event.
Yep.
2 homers this week. I'm like, finally. And then bam, of course.
Couple of lesser notes, but affect some fantasy leagues. Brandon Marsh went in the IL with a right hamstring strain. Gives maybe Johan Rojas some playing time in Philadelphia. I think we're all used to bidding on Rojas for steals and having it not really work out. But Griffin Conine went in the IL, dislocated left shoulder. As someone who's done that before, I can promise that doesn't feel good. 60-day IL for Conine. Anybody there in Miami that you think maybe get some playing time? Dane Myers, maybe. Is there anybody that really jumped out to you? Is like, now that Conine's done for a while, I want to add this guy.
I picked up and dropped Myers already in the main event once. Now it's okay to do it again. You could pick him back up if you want to, if you need an outfielder, because he will play more because of this. There's no doubt about that. And he's actually good defensively. I just, and you have to be, if you're going after Myers, you're hoping to get some speed because he's kind of a slap hitter. He's not going to be a guy that's going to hit for a ton of power.
Yeah, a couple more notes here. Willi Castro in Minnesota missed the last 4 games with some oblique tightness. Feels like these never work out really well. That's one of those ones you just got to check
Didn't
the
he go on the
lineup.
IL?
Did he actually get put on the IL? When I did the notes, he had not yet. Did he actually get on?
Let me double check on that one there. I thought he did, and I think that it will relate to a player. No, he has not yet. I take that back. I misspoke for the 18,000th time on this podcast.
But yeah, so he's been out 4 games though. Like you got to figure maybe they play. When are they play? They don't play tomorrow, so they get that day off. But you got to figure Tuesday's probably the point there where they got to figure out either he's ready to play or they got to put him back on the IL.
Yeah, but it's the big thing here is like who else fits in. But thing is, he was the Twins, Swiss Army knife basically.
Right.
He's a guy they could put in a lot of different places. So it's just a miserable start. Aaron Gleeman had a good piece on the Twins and the Athletic, talking about how the Pohlads are really, it's another generation of the Pohlad family just wrecking this team. They shaved like $30 million off the payroll 2 years ago. Called it, right sizing the payroll, things like that. It's like, you just can't do that. And now they got like terrible attendance there too.
It's too bad because that is a beautiful stadium. It's a great place to watch a game.
Yep.
But Byron Buxton has like 5 steals, I think.
Yeah. Homered again today too.
Yeah. I mean, he's the 5 steals I did not expect in the first month of the season. I did not think we were going to get that.
Yep. Peter Schenke confirms, by the way, that Castro not on the IL, and they have a day off tomorrow. So it'll be a very difficult lineup decision if you have Castro. I'd presume he doesn't play, but I could be wrong.
One of the 2025 heroes so far this year, Ben Rice in New York, missed Sunday after a hit by pitch to the elbow. Sounded like all his testing came back clean. Seems like Rice dodged that bullet, which is good. You hate the hit by pitch to anything in the hand or arm. Yankees do play tomorrow. They're at Cleveland, so definitely check a lineup in front of that one. Francisco Alvarez, it sounds like he'll need a couple more rehab games. So if you can hold him out for one more half week or probably a whole week if you're a catcher, if you have somebody or don't. But sounds like we're maybe looking more at the end of next week for Alvarez coming back. Some in the chat asked about Brayan Bello, scheduled to be activated and start on Tuesday. As I'd love to do, Jeff, if you have Brayan Bello, home Seattle at Cleveland, 2-step week. Are you using him right off the bat this week?
I mean, that's a pretty good setup there. I mean, I'd rather face road Seattle instead of home Seattle, obviously. I'm probably using him in a 15-teamer. Out of 12, I might be more circumspect, but just because he may not go deep into the game also. That's the other thing that might hold me back.
I have him in a 15-teamer, and I am using him. So I'm actually going to answer that. And it's a good thing you mentioned that early game because I'm going to have to put him in early tomorrow.
Yes,
so I'm going to use him this week. He threw 4 1/3 in his last rehab outing. I think I'm good with hoping he gets 5 and then maybe ready for a little bit more on the second start.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thrown him for 1 this week, but for 2, I will. Last note, we had not mentioned Yu Darvish for a while. He's been kind of playing catch is what they kind of called it, but then he's threw a higher intensity bullpen this weekend, what they called it. So it's not like he's progressing, but we're still that's got to be a couple months off still for Darvish, right?
I think. I don't know.
By the time he finally throws live bullpens and then goes on rehab, and that's I think we're probably looking at 6 to 8 weeks still probably.
I think you're probably right about that, and I think might have been a mistake to hold him when I did. I think maybe the league where I have to use my leagues feature on RotoWire. If you import your leagues into RotoWire, then you can go my players. You can figure out where you own that player. And it can save you some time when you make these conclusions. You talk about a certain particular player. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll tell you if I have Darvish in a league where I can have that decision. But, point is, if you don't have an IL spot, it's kind of a tough hold. Yeah.
Speaking of which, RotoWire, what was the code? Roto15, 50% off any subscription price. Is that right?
That's right. That's what we're doing these days. Roto15 is the code. You go to RotoWire to sign up and you get 15% off.
Beautiful. So let's talk free agency, but first a quick note from our sponsors at Vivid Seats. Finally, baseball is back. I think we're all thankful for that. This Major League Baseball season, knock it out of the park with Vivid Seats and score great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Every fastball, every home run, and every eye-popping play of your favorite team live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you earn rewards with every single purchase. Just buy 10 tickets, then cash in your credit towards your free 11th ticket. Talk about an easy win. And here's a pro reward tip. When buying tickets for your whole group, split the bill and make progress towards your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the dugout to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2025 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today at Vivid Seats. Experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. So Jeff, I talked about before how we finally had some big bidding this week. Chandler Simpson was the big call up this week. Rays outfielder who had 104 stolen bases last year in the minor leagues. He was 74% rostered in the main event, but only 15% rostered in the 12-team RotoWire NFBC Online Championship. So there's a lot of leagues where he was available. I had a main event; he was available. I had an online championship available. How are you handling Simpson? It's a guy that's tough. Like there's very possible he's a one category guy. He might be a stolen base guy, but he might win stolen bases for you. However, he's got a really good hit tool, does not strike out. He had hit a huge batting average in the minors last year, so maybe he's a two category guy. Then Saturday, the Rays let him off. Maybe he's a three category guy. You're definitely not getting home runs or RBIs. That's already locked in. He has power. I think he had one home run last year and did not leave the ballpark, to give you just an idea of what we're dealing with Simpson. But this is someone who has a almost unlimited stolen base upside in a fantasy league because he could literally win the category for you. What did you do with him? How did you feel about being aggressive with him? Obviously, people were going to be aggressive. You needed steals. What were you thinking with Simpson kind of walking into this week?
So I struggled with this one. I mean, I could use stolen bases in my leagues, of course. Who can't? Unless you have like a team full of O'Neal Cruzes, you probably need stolen bases right now.
Yep.
But I can't. I don't know if he's going to hit at the big league level. I mean, these guys that come up that have decent batting eyes but no power whatsoever, they often struggle. They really often struggle at the big league level. I don't think he's Isak Snead. I don't think he's Billy Hamilton or Malik Smith. But what if he is? He could be a no category player. And that's the thing that makes me not go crazy. I did put in a bid of 137 in the main. It didn't get there. It was 198 was the winning bid. So
wow, 198 was the third lowest winning bid in the main event.
Wow. Okay. So, and that's the thing. I mean, yeah, I guess he could kill a category, and you know me, I undervalue speed all the time. It's a knowing blind spot. You know, I know I'm blind to it. So I'm that makes it worse. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't go out and get enough of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was pretty aggressive. The league, he was available in main event. I drafted the night before the season, so it was already clear he wasn't going to make the major, so he didn't get drafted. So he was available this week. I definitely could use some speed. I definitely use some outfielders. I lost Wyatt Langford, although he's back now. I also lost Jackson Merrill. He's going to be out a little longer than I hoped for. I went in at 194, which is a pretty big bid for me on a speed guy this early in the season. I was the backup bid, although the winning bid was 376, so I was not really that close. Someone in the chat mentioned what was the highest bid. 571 was the highest winning bid. That was in a main event. There were
all game styles of 699, by the way.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a lot of money right there. But 571 in a main's a lot too. Like he better work out for that amount because you just gave up. I mean, that's almost 60% of your budget. Two bids in the 400s, a few in the 300s, and then a bunch in the 200s. The lowest winning bid was $140.
Yeah, he's only available in 15 mains, which is a little surprising. He was available in mine. He was available in my TGFBI. He was available in my online championship.
That like week before the season, he got a lot of hype, and there was a lot of talk that he was going to make the team. And I think he got drafted. And if you drafted him, you kind of had to push him up a couple rounds. You probably didn't want to drop him. So I guess I can understand why he was held in a lot of leagues. But there's people in the chat talking about Esteury Ruiz. I think he's a better hitter than all these guys. And again, it's very possible he gets the majors and they just knock the bat out of his hand. But he's crazy fast, crazy fast. And, maybe a bunch of ground balls turn into hits. I don't know. I was a little more interested in him than most of these speed-only guys, although I admit that he certainly can get overpowered and no one would be shocked by that.
Yes, exactly. So do I wish I would have been aggressive? No, I'm okay. I'm at peace with this one here.
I'm also a little worried that it's the Rays, and I just don't trust. Like, are they going to platoon him? Are they like today? He at 9th, and you just it's just they're such a hard team to figure out. Like they just and you got Meisner, you've got Mangum, you've got Josh Lowe at some point coming back, you got DeLuca coming back at some point.
Yeah,
it could get really crowded really quick, and that was my concern about pushing up any higher. If he was, we're going to lead him off and let him play every day and see what happens, kind of thing for 6 weeks. I think I would have been pretty high. I still was pretty high, but I just was really worried when all these guys come back.
Yeah. DeLuca's going to be out long-term.
He was 2 to 4 weeks, so he's already been out
4 to 6 is what I thought I saw.
I thought he was 2 to 4, but Lowe is like Lowe's got to be another month out. He just started to swing, right?
But he had positive news this week. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, they will let the players run. Mangum's number 2 in baseball in stolen bases going into today's games at 8. He wasn't the expensive guy. The expensive guy was Meisner, at least in things, because we thought Meisner was going to play more. And it just happens that, hey, Mangum played better to start, so he's been getting more playing time. Mangum's also older. He doesn't really have much upside. It's more just a case there where he was ready right away, got off to a good start, so he gets the playing time for now. It usually doesn't last, but it does dictate playing time early on.
They've kind of both been good. I mean, Meisner's hitting 360 right now. They've both been really good. Meisner had 2 home runs. I actually had to drop him in a league because I had to have a corner and I had 3 guys hurt, but I had to drop him. He hit 2 home runs on Monday, so I was really pleased with that drop. But I just think if Chip doesn't hit right away, I don't know how long the leash is in terms of playing time, and it's the Rays. Right. Like, I just don't think that he'll platoon. I'm worried about the playing time. I am too.
And I also, they might say one thing and do another too. I think they're very good at doing that sort of thing. But
he's really, really fun.
He is. He is.
He's a fun guy to roster. So the other guy that was called up is Caleb Durbin by the Brewers, Yankees prospect that now plays for Milwaukee. He was called up, and he's not quite the speedster that Simpson is, of course, but still a stolen base guy. He had 31 bags in the minors last year in 90 games for the Yankee system. So really good stolen base, and he's not a 0 in power either. I mean, Simpson's a complete 0 in power. Durbin had 10 home runs last year in the minors. So far this year in AAA, he's got 2 homers, 3 steals in 13 games. I was pretty interested in Durbin here, and I was outbid on him in the main event. He was available in one of my 2, and I did not get him, unfortunately.
No, I had him in my original home league, the Amiki League, which is the AL only, but grandfather the Brewers in league, and I just couldn't hold on to him. So of course I'll probably get outbid for him when we bid again next Thursday.
So that's always the worst right there. Was he available in either your main event or you're in your one main event? Was he available there?
He was.
How much did he go for?
Hold please, and I will tell you. But I can tell you I didn't get him.
He went for 87 in mine. I'd have to look, but I believe I was the backup at 66. So I was
157 for us.
Ooh, that's a pretty high bid right there.
Yep. Same guy got Jay Tannehill, who's also in Scarf with me. Got Simpson.
I thought you said the guy picked up Jay Tannehill. I was like, oh crap, who's that?
No, Jay Tannehill is in my main, or I'm in his main because he's beating me right now. But he got both Chandler Simpson and Caleb Durbin.
Wow.
So he got speed.
Durbin was more kind of in the mid ones range with a lot of bids in the kind of the 140, 150, 160 range. There were a handful of bids that were under 100. He went for 87 in my league. I was the backup there. So I was the backup to him and Simpson, although I wasn't really close on Simpson, but I would have liked to have Durbin.
Yeah, I would have. I would have liked to have either of them for the right, but I'm obviously a cheap ass, so I didn't get them. So in those, by the way, people were kind of asking how you find out about this. I'm going to put a link in here. You can see, and I don't know if you have to be in an NFBC league to do it, but you can see like the range of bids. You can sort by the type of league. You can see all this information. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to put it in the chat here. If you're streaming live with us, you can check it out.
If you go on the NFBC side, if you're using it, if you go to stats and go to player movement, you can see all that stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, you can cycle by all the different events. It's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Let's see another guy who got called up. Luke Ketchel. I don't know. I'm going to butcher that one. Kishal. I don't know, but Minnesota.
I'm going Keshal, but I'll double check. I'll go to Baseball Ref. They usually have good pronunciation guides.
Twins prospect who's a pretty good hit tool. I really was interested when I looked. The only thing with him is that he is UT only right now. He's played second base already, so maybe he gets position eligibility pretty quick. But I think he DH'd once, then played second base one game. But you look at him last year in the minors: 15 home runs, 23 stolen bases, hit 303. Strikeout rate's been always kind of right around or under 20%. Pretty good hit tool there. Walks a lot too. Seems to have a really good batting eye. I was pretty interested in the profile. I was just a little bit problematic for me where I have Kyle Schwarber. I couldn't really do it. Thanks to Peter Shakey. He said it's Kishal. There we go.
Kishal, yeah.
Kishal.
He beat me to it. I was just looking it up on Baseball Ref. Yep.
But so Keyshaw, I really like the hit too. I was a little bit worried about UT only in leagues where I have a UT guy, but should get some eligibility fairly quick. I imagine they're going to play him in the field a little bit, but I was definitely intrigued by the hit tool. It looked pretty good.
So he had Tommy John surgery last fall is the interesting thing. So there's a reason why he's doing some UT though. It's not just position, like the way it worked out or anything like that. So, that's what makes me think it might take some time, but if Willi Castro has to miss more time, that's obviously a pathway to playing time. He's their top hitting prospect. The fact that they called him up is maybe in response to the really slow start, but also it suggests that he might stick around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, and they certainly can use some offense. You look at that lineup. It's not you got Ty France hitting fourth. You got Deshaun Kiersey. You got Bader in there. Like there's they need some bat help pretty quick.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I mean, they just they're another team I get frustrated with. They should be better. They should have tried more this offseason. They didn't.
And I know that Royce Lewis got hurt, no surprise there, but Brooks Lee came back this week too. So maybe there's a little infusion of youth there. I think Trevor Larnach's going to start hitting at some point. He started slow as well. Yeah. Buxton's been playing well. I know Julian and Ty France are really bad this week. I think they were like 2 for 21 and 1 for 20 or something like that. So
it's a good thing it's only your leadoff and number 3 hitter.
Right. Yeah. It's not great. It's just, it's a shame. I mean, the real problem they have is that they dropped Carlos Correa down the lineup because he struggled so badly too.
Yeah. When the people that you hire to be stars aren't stars, and then Royce Lewis is hurt, it's tough. And I get that you can make those excuses, but I also just think that this is an ownership group that is willingly underachieved, and I don't like that. And by the way, Kelly Ugansky's right. Walker Jenkins is their best prospect, not Chisholm, but Keyshawn's up there. He's a significant prospect. That's my point.
I'm a little worried on Correa. I know it's really early, but you look at some of his stuff, the hard contact's down at 35%. Usually he's always around 44, 45%. Mm-hmm. Barrel rate's kind of cut in half. He's not walking as much. Strikeout rate's kind of the same. It's just kind of not hitting the ball hard at all so far. I know it's 20 games in. I know it's cold in Minnesota, but 1 home run, obviously you never get stolen bases from him. So that's you never get that anyway, but man, he's just not hitting the ball hard at all. I'm a little worried about this one.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, he was crushing it in terms of hard hit rate in spring training. It looked like he was finally fully healthy. He was crushing and all that. This is the guy that they signed, and it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, you hope it's just a bad 3 weeks, and maybe we can get going with him. But do you like Keyshawn more? You like Brooks Lee more? What were you doing in terms of bidding there?
I like Keyshawn more. I think Brooks Lee has more defensive flexibility, but I don't think he's a great defender either, though. So, I don't know. I like Keyshawn more, I think.
He seems like he definitely has more fantasy goodness to his game with the home runs and stolen bases. I feel like, Lee's never really the highest he had in home runs in the minors is 16, never stolen more than 10 bases. That's not fantasy wise. I leaned towards Keyshawn as well.
Yeah.
A guy we talked about earlier, earlier in the season when he went on the IL, Connor Norby is back. He was pretty much rostered in main events. He was about 90% rostered. I think he was available in one of mine. I think I got outbid again, which is a common story here. But he's only about 41% rostered in 12 teamers. He had 3 hits today. I know the Marlins lineup is bad, but hitting the middle lineup, I'm a Norby fan. And I was trying to get him wherever I could.
I like Norby too. I wondered why he didn't get more chances in Baltimore when Holiday was still sent down last year. And then the underwhelming return they got for him in the trade deadline. I was still surprised at that.
Yeah, he was available in 6 main events. Bid range was 45 to 160. Half those bids were in the hundreds, half were not. But I just think lineup spot. I think you get some speed and power. I do like what you get from Norby. I had to cut him in a league. You decided to make some tough decisions. I didn't want to do it, but I had 3 injuries. I'm afraid I'm going to regret that one.
You might.
Yeah,
you might.
That doesn't make me feel better.
Sorry, even.
Speaking of prospects getting called up with the Jason Hayward to the IL news, Tirso Ornelas got called up by the Padres, a pretty big prospect on their side. He's hitting about 280 in the minors so far through 17 games. He had 23 home runs last year in AAA. I kind of like this one as a little sneaky. He sat today, which I think helped the cause, but is facing a lefty. The Padres face 6 righties next week, so I think he's going to get to play a bunch this week. I don't know how long-term it is. They're going to get Merrill back. Hayward will be back at some point, but I think he might be a little kind of a sneaky play here for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm divided on him. I mean, he's played at AAA since, he had a taste of AAA in 2022, but full on AAA for most of 2023, all of last year.
Yep.
And he wasn't even dominant there. And El Paso, I got to tell you, it's a launching pad.
Yeah.
You should be dominating there if you're a real prospect. He's doing all right there. 777 OPS, good on base numbers. That's good.
Yep.
I don't know if the power is going to carry over to the bigs. We'll see. I know he turned some heads in spring training too. Some smart people are on him. I heard his name buzzing in my DCs. I heard, Uncle Ted was buzzing about him in the forum. So, I've been aware of him. We'll see. This is a good opportunity. This is, like you said, this is a good week for him to see what we got.
Yeah, for me, it was more of a streaming play. He gets Flaherty, Montero, and Olsen in Detroit, so a couple of good pitchers there. But if he has to face Tampa over the weekend, he faces Baz, Pepio, and Littell. So he misses Rasmussen, misses Taj Bradley, does face Shane Baz, who was really good in his last start. But I just thought it was kind of a nice streamer play this week, getting 6 righties. I think he's going to play a bunch in a deeper league. Sometimes that really matters.
Yeah, and I had plenty of leagues where I needed outfielders. He should have been on my waterfall at the very least.
Did you do anything with the Mets guys? We got Luisangel Acuna, Brett Beatty. If Mark Vientos is hurt, one of those guys could fall into some more playing time. Were you mentioned any of those guys? I think we've kind of been back and forth on those guys a couple of times. It seemed like if Acuna never gets some playing time, it'd be interesting, but I don't know if he's going to fall into full time here. And Jeff McNeil's coming back this week. I know Alvarez is coming back. Obviously, it doesn't affect him; he'll catch. But feels like every time we can maybe get some playing time from Acuna, someone comes back and we don't get it.
Yeah. Well, Acuna did have some positive buzz. He had a couple of good games earlier in the week. You're like, okay, he might start taking over at second base. Kind of got more buzz there. We'll see. I think he's interesting at least.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you're talking about speed guys. He had a 57 stolen base year in the minors, of 40 stolen bases last year in the minors. It's just a matter of getting playing time. If he were just gonna play every day, I think he'd be great. But he's great fantasy wise. But I just don't know if we get there with this Mets team. Mets playing well too.
Yeah, they are. And this is without having their top 2 starting two of their top 3 starting pitchers. Yep. I think Senga is their top actually, but Manaea and no Manaea, no Montas, no Francisco Alvarez all year. They've overcome that pretty well.
They have. I mean, Vientos we talked about was cold. I mean, Soto hadn't homered in 13 games before today, something like that. He was at least something from a power angle. But yeah, 15-7 plus 30 run differential is like tied for the third best in baseball. They've won 4 in a row. You're rolling right now.
Yeah, they are. They're drawing well too. People are. It's kind of like, it's the big market version of the Padres. Spend money on the team, people will come.
Yeah, Padres are fun too. They won again tonight. Beat the Astros. They're 16-6. That NL West continues to be pretty darn good. Dodgers 16-7. Giants are 14-8. Diamondbacks are 13-9. And Jeff, the Rockies won a game today. First game since we podcasted about them last week.
Huzzah! Yeah. No paste will be eaten tonight.
It's always they got beat early in the day. They had a doubleheader. They got beat and then they won. I was hoping they were going to get swept because 10 straight losses would have been pretty awesome. Good podcast content right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other names? I want to ask you about Edgar Quero in Chicago. One of their catching prospect. He got called up this week. There should be some playing time here. We're talking about like Matt Theis and Corey Lee. Like nobody's really blocking him. There was some active bidding. I was outbid on him. I kind of maybe thought I could sneak him through. I was wrong on that one. He was added in 52 leagues. Huge range though. It's a catcher, so you get that. But there was somebody that spent $176 on him. Only person over 100, so that was pretty rare. A lot of bids in like the teens and 20s and 30s, so a little bit of money on a catcher. How'd you feel about Quero this week?
I like him. He's the one of 2 really good catcher prospects in the White Sox system. He gets the call first ahead of Teal. But Teal came over in the Garrett Crochet trade. So We'll see Teal at some point in time too. But, I like it there. It's better than having, what they were having. But the thing is and he started the first 3 days, got the first starter treatment with the Sunday day off today, but then came in later and had the game winning hit. So yeah, I like him. I think he could be interesting.
Always looking for catcher 2s in most leagues. So he was definitely the one. Our friend Anthony Gialdi, we want Zebby. Yes, we all want Zebby Matthews to get the call up. Trust me, no doubt there. Any other hitters you liked? I think Jake Fraley on our Reds is interesting. He's only 68% rostered in the main event. He has 5 righties this week, and he gets cores. I thought that was interesting. Kyle Farmer, kind of the split side of that for the Rockies. Second, third base eligible. He gets 4 lefties this week, so Farmer should play a bunch. In deeper leagues, I thought both those were pretty sneaky and nice ads.
Yeah, and let's talk to Noelvi Marte too. Let's throw that out there too, because Christian Encarnacion Strand is on the IL right now with that back issue. So Marte's got a pathway to playing time, played a decent amount this weekend. Obviously had a huge day today.
Yep.
It once was a top 10 prospect.
Can he flat out win this job the next couple of weeks?
I think he can. Jeimer Candelario, he's not good. That's one of the reasons why we think this is a possibility that this could happen. If he gets a good week, he gets to face the Marlins and the Rockies, he get a chance to prove himself there, kind of build out a little stagger, especially if Candelario is not doing anything at the same time.
And I'm more thinking, CES, I like CES, but, started off slow. Last year was obviously bad. If Marte looks good for 2 weeks, I don't think it's a guarantee that, suddenly CES pushes him aside.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah. I want to live in a universe where they both start.
Yes, I do too.
That's what I'd want to see.
Yeah. I'd like both to start, and Heimer can play sometimes and, fill in. I'd like him to be the backup rather than one of these two.
For guys. Sure. 100%.
Anybody else on offense you mentioned before we move to pitching? That was kind of my list I was working off there. Obviously some high-end names in the front with Simpson and Durbin and Chisholm. Is there anybody else you were super interested in offense?
Super interested is overstating the case, but I needed an outfielder, and Alex Verdugo looks like he's going to play it a little bit there. So I donned the cone of shame, and I went ahead and grabbed him in a league. I do not like the cone of shame.
He had 4 hits on Saturday, right?
Yeah, so I already missed out on his best game, in other words. But you know what? I need playing time, and he's going to play. The Braves need it. Hey, and the Braves, they're still not good, but they also are 6-2 at home this year.
Yeah.
So they just swept the Twins.
Starting to come around a little bit. Strider's back this week. Acuna back at some point. They're 8-13. They're kind of just hanging in there. They just kind of have to play 500 until Acuna gets back.
Yeah, but the problem is they've dug themselves such a hole. They can't just go 500. They need to be better than 500 already.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. They need to get to 500 probably is what I should have said that otherwise.
Yeah.
So starting pitching I thought was really, really difficult this week, Joe. We talked about a lot of hitters, a lot of guys with playing time, interesting names. I was pretty much not really adding much in starting pitching. There are a couple names here and there. I want to ask you, what do you do with someone like with Logan Henderson? Milwaukee called him up. He was 23% rostered in the main event, not available in all because he hadn't pitched and he had to be called up. But pitched really well today against the A's, but does not guarantee to start next week. I always have trouble dealing with these guys. Like, do I want to just grab him and stash him? Is he good enough to do that? Tobias Myers is coming back this week probably. Chad Patrick's pitched well for them, so it might not be a spot for Henderson, but he is one of their bigger pitching prospects. He pitched well today. What do you do with someone like this?
I grabbed him as a $1 guy, I think, in my only home league, and I'll just stash him when he does get sent down because I think he gets sent down. I don't even think he makes the next start. I know he was great today, but I think he gets sent down because they're like you said, Tobias Myers is coming back. And then, after that, next week, Woodward's coming back. Not Woodward. Woodruff.
Yeah.
I swear to God, Scott, I've been doing this for 8 years with those two because Woodward used to pitch. There was a Woodward that did pitch for the Brewers, and
I've never not called Derek Carr David Carr. If it makes you feel better.
Okay, yeah, we all have our
podcast. I have like a 5-year stretch going of never getting it right.
Yeah, who's your mental block? People tell us, and you got to have one of those. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't do Derek and David Carr, but and then I get to the point where I don't know which is which because I've thought about it so hard over the years that I just don't know which is which anymore.
Yeah, that's one of my little ticks there. What's the other one? Isaiah. There are multiple spellings of Isaiah, and I always get the wrong one. I can't spell Isaiah. I just can't do it.
Yeah, there's the ISA and the ISIAH, like Isaiah Thomas, but then usually you get an ISAIAH. Yeah, that's a tough one too.
Yep.
Anybody else you'd like to start? We talked about Brayan Bello before. He was 32% rostered in 12 teams. I would definitely add him if he was available. We talked about whether to start him or not, but I would definitely, if you could pick him up, I'd definitely pick him up. I do like Bello as an arm, so I would go there. Andrew Abbott, we talked a little bit about last week, and now we're like, maybe take a shot. Really good outing this week. 11 or 12 strikeouts. Although I think he faces, I think he's going to Coors this week.
Yeah, pulling up projected starters.
I think it's Friday at course. I think we're going Lodolo, Martinez, Singer the first 3 games.
Yeah. That is not ideal. That he unfortunately gets cores. Yeah. But you know what? It happens. I would absolutely not use him this week. And then we kind of move on and see if you use him after that. Trying to pull up what he has going on after that. Like next week, what does he have? Abbott's going to have home against the Cardinals. Yeah, I could be persuaded, but I feel like he's like Kyle Freeland. The second you start to trust him is when you get hurt. So I probably won't.
That's not the praise I'm looking for going with Kyle Freeland.
I know. I'm sorry. Sorry. I can't get into it that much.
Yeah, he pitched really well this week, but our friend Todd Zola was able to pull out the Coors is undefeated tweet after Chase Dolander got smoked over the weekend. It's just really hard to pitch there and be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
What about let's see? I'm looking at other names here. I kind of like Ryan Gusto. Going to make another start for the Astros this week. Has some good stuff. Has pitched pretty well, so I kind of like that one so far. Maybe it's a small pickup, but there was not a lot there. I looked at Randy Vasquez in San Diego has starts against Detroit and Tampa this week.
We already have him rostered.
Then I looked closer at him and I crossed him off my list because I thought that everything else looked so bad.
So the thing about Randy Vasquez is he is a complete home streamer. Check out his home road splits. They are massive, massive, massive splits. So you get a home start against Tampa Bay at Detroit. I mean, Detroit's an up and coming lineup, but if they don't have Kerry Carpenter, maybe it's a little less strong. I might use Vasquez this week. I probably will, actually.
If you have the 16% walk rate against a 9% strikeout rate is really tough.
Yeah, I get it. I really get it.
I like the 1.74 ERA and the 5.72 xERA. There might be some regression coming at some point for Randy.
Oh, I think there will be. I'm just trying to.
You just want to wait till after this.
I want to game the system a little bit because he gets 2 steps this week, and then he gets at Pittsburgh next week if order holds. It's interesting. Padres have a 5-game week next week, so they may skip Vasquez or Kyle Hart. I think Hart's a better candidate to skip than Vasquez, though.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well. Was there anybody else starting pitching wise? We talked about Chad Patrick a little bit last week, pitching pretty well for Milwaukee. I looked at him, but I found starting pitching really hard. Did you have any? Was I off on that, or did you find anybody you're really interested in?
No, I did not find anybody. It was an awful no good.
I'm really worried that if you don't have pitching depth right now, it's going to be hard to find it in the year this year. There's nothing right now.
I asked myself, do I really want to think about bidding on Kyle Gibson? And the answer was a resounding no. So.
Oh, God, that's bad. Quinn Priester has 2 starts this week, not available on many 15-teamers, but that's at San Francisco, at St. Louis. Kind of a mildly interesting one, too, especially in the 12-teamers where he was pretty readily available.
Yep. You'll be surprised at what's available in a 12 sometimes.
Yeah.
Ranger Suarez was available in my 12. Yes, okay. Of course you should pick him up.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I always look at 12. I'm like, oh, I can't believe that guy's there, and then I realize I don't have anybody to drop for him. But there are definitely more options there. The 15 teamers are really tough for starting pitching this week.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly how it is.
What about relief pitchers? First guy I wanted to ask you about, David Bednar, called back up for Pittsburgh. We talked a lot about him preseason. Like, what do we do with this guy? He was about 55 to 56, 57% rostered in 12 teamers. It was available in more than a third of the 12 teamers. I read a note. I think it was from our friend Rob DiPietro, who talked about in the minors he changed his arm angle. So it was like he was having trouble with the lower arm angle in the majors. Changed his arm angle higher in the minors. Had a lot of success with it. Kind of refound himself a little bit. So that's one note. That's one thing. But maybe figured some stuff out. Looked good in the minors when he was there. I think it was a pretty good kind of send down and reset for him. He was 5 innings, no runs, only 1 base runner, 43% strikeout rate in those 5 innings. So pitched really well. Granted, it's 5 innings, but do you think he gets the job back? Do you think he gets the job back quick? Were you bidding on him? How do you feel about Bednar walking in right now?
I think he's got the contract, so he's going to get chances probably. Yep. Gave up 2 hits in his first game back against Cleveland. Also got 2 strikeouts. So yeah, I'm opening my mind to the possibility he might be good again. It's a guy I don't have rostered anywhere. So in most cases, if you had him, you probably held on to him.
Right.
At least in 15 teamers, maybe in a 12 he is available, but or he was snatched back up the second he was dropped. So that's the other thing.
Yeah. So it was fair, about half available in 12 team. I think he was taken in mine. I think I would have taken a stab, but I think you're right. I think the contract kind of makes it so he's going to get, I think he'll get a chance here at some point again. Anybody else you like reliever wise? I think there was some question in the chat about Devin Williams. There's been a lot of relievers have been getting smoked. I mean, Clase gave up 3 more runs today, but got a win. He has 3 wins already. Devin Williams yesterday came in a 4-run game and gave up 4 runs to tie the game. Like really rough. It's been tough. Luke Weaver was pretty much rostered across the board in 15 teamers already, but he was available in some 12 teamers. If you have Devin Williams, you can get Luke Weaver. I think it makes a lot of sense right now. I don't know if we're going to get maybe a phantom IL thing with Williams, but he kind of bounced back, had 2 scoreless outings, and then all of a sudden that outing on Saturday was really bad.
It was. It was so bad. I also think that was the 12-10 game though? I think it's just one of those games.
Yeah. But like in one of those games is why you bring in Devin Williams to get out of that game. I
understand, but I just think
he's striking nobody out, which is so weird.
Who are you more worried about, Clase or Williams?
It's an excellent question. I think Williams a little bit because he's not striking anybody out.
Okay, fair enough. The answer could be both, by the way.
The answer could be both. Clase
or neither. Yeah.
Clase was bad again today, but he's not striking anybody out either. His strikeout number is way down too. But he has a swing. His swinging strike rate is still really good. So he's getting swing and miss, just not getting strikeouts. I'm a little more worried about Williams, just so I can give you an answer.
Okay, fair enough.
But man, these guys are rough. I mean, Kirby Yates got a chance to close yesterday, and I'm like, oh, maybe we're gonna get some bids here because Blake trying to win the IL. Maybe he's the guy that gets the non-Tanner Scott saves, and Yates blew the game. Adolis Garcia 2-run walk off. So I got to cross him out after that. Evan Phillips is back too. So they've got so many righties in there they can find someone to pitch. But man, finding someone to get saves right now is really tough. Pitching and FAAB right now is just tough in general.
Yeah, Blake Trinan getting hurt just kind of made that just a little bit more goofier in the Dodgers bullpen. I know, hard to believe Blake Trinan got hurt.
It's going to be Tanner Scott for saves and a few saves here and there, but I think it's just going to be Tanner Scott's the only roster. He only
got 8, Scott.
Yeah. Well, they win a lot of games.
I'm saying Tanner Scott's got 8, but I was saying your name, Scott, also. Yeah. 8 saves for Tanner Scott.
Yeah.
That's
I think everybody's worried after a couple of these, but they're going to win so many games that he's going to just fall into plenty of saves.
Yeah. I did throw a token bid on Jordan Leisure.
Do you know how many saves the White Sox have as a team, Jeff?
0.0.
Is that crazy? We're April 20th. The White Sox have played 21 games and they have 0 saves.
Somehow they're as bad as they were last year.
They have 5 wins though. How do they not have a close win?
I don't know. It was 8-4 today. It was close to being close. He was pitching in a tie. Leisure was pitching in a tie game at least. So I think there's some reasons to be maybe a little encouraged by him. But you're right. I mean, it's you can't really start him. He's a spec guy, and hope that the White Sox aren't horrific once they start calling up other players in addition to Quero.
Yeah, he strikes guys out at least, which I like about Leisure. I think we talked about him last year when he got called up to huge strikeout rates in the minors, but man, those walk rates, there's a lot of double-digit numbers on that page. Those scare the crap out of me too.
Yep, for sure. I mean, it's not a ringing endorsement. It's a I want to find someone to drop Easton Lucas for. I want to drop Easton Lucas and pick up literally anybody else.
If we're drafting saves right now, say you do your league I think Mason Miller's probably 1. Is Diaz 2nd? Like how would you draft closers right now? Because Clase and Devin Williams aren't in the top 5, obviously.
Clase still though. He's got job security though, doesn't he?
He does, but is he getting drafted in top 5 closers right now? I don't think so.
I think that might be a mistake. I think.
It's good point. Steve in the chat. Hader would be up there too. There would be
Hader,
Miller, and Diaz, and then maybe
Iglesias would be right up there.
Yeah, and Andres Munoz probably right in there too.
Munoz would be up there. Yeah. These are all guys that went early.
5 right there. And then maybe Tanner Scott 6 and Clase 7, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Tanner Scott gave up a bunch of hard contact early, but he's been much better lately. He's locating that slider better. That's the thing is I think we're panicking a little too much on someone like on like a Clase or even Devin Williams. Sometimes it's just one little tweak and all of a sudden they're back to being their unhittable selves. I mean, sometimes they go Alexis Diaz on you and they never come back, but we'll see. A lot of times they figure it out.
Uncle Ted mentioned Ranger Suarez. He mentioned Robert Suarez in the chat, but Robert Suarez, I didn't want to draft. His second half was really bad. He's been really good. No earned runs, 8 saves on a Padres team that's really good. He's looking really good so far too.
Yeah. Yep.
But Kyle Finnegan, second in the league in saves, just like we all predicted it.
Just like it happened a year ago, halfway through the season, and he did very little over the second half. So, and I don't think there's really all that wrong with Helsley either, by the way.
Helsley, you're right. Helsley a good one too. He doesn't. He's only had 3 saves. The Cardinals have just not put him in good situations. But yeah, Helsley would probably be in that 5-6 range too. Yeah. Like that.
And we know how saves come in bunches.
Yeah, they do.
We know that usually these pitchers these closers are going to be okay. So even if they've gotten off to a slow start, well, that's one thing. If they're like throwing 2 miles an hour or slower, or they're hurt or something like that, okay, now I'll send the alarm.
7 innings so far, Jeff, from Mason Miller, 14 strikeouts, 1 walk.
Well, is that good?
I mean, that's ridiculous right there.
There's a reason why he was going as the top closer late in drafts.
Yeah. And the A's have won enough games where he's got 6 saves already. I think they're going to win enough games where he'll be fine in that regard. Yeah. And he is, swinging strike rate is 22.4% right now. The dude is, the only risk there is injury, and he pitched all of last year, but he is unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Anybody else you want to talk about? I feel like kind of hit everybody. Obviously, a really busy week in FAAB. As we get deeper in the season, I think this is our first really busy week with a lot of multiple guys in the triple digits, with Simpson and a lot of Durbins in the triple digits also. Simpson's a fun one. I think it's going to be really interesting how this one works out. The range of outcomes on Simpson, end of year line is just, it's literally like back in the minors in 3 weeks or 75 stolen bases. Like it's the range is crazy.
Yeah. I feel like someone's going to play back I'm okay with missing out on him clip at me 3 months from now. But
the only thing thing's interesting, like you take those, you got the Wild Run Johnson, but if he's just okay, like that's probably like 36 steals, right? Like that's pretty good for okay.
Yeah. Well, and we had a discussion about Victor Scott, and we got the question, I think it was from Joe G, loyal listener, like, should I cut bait on him? Like, well, what were you expecting from Victor Scott?
Right.
He's got 7 stolen bases.
He's on pace for 40 bags.
Yeah. That's above the 50th percentile outcome for him.
Yeah.
Maybe you're expecting a better average. I get that there. But you never were expecting the power. I feel like the same thing we're going to get these same questions with Chandler Simpson. Like,
yeah,
wow, why is he only hitting 250? Yeah, well, he's got you 15, he's got you 35 stolen bases. That's what you'd expect. You just have to decide whether that's an okay for your roster build type of player.
Yeah. 7 steals for Victor Scott kind of feels kind of middling, but like if you plan that out over, that's 20 games, you plan that over a season, like you're looking at 40 steals, and that's if he hits 245 with 40 steals, it's probably an okay season for him.
Yeah, and hey, if he plays 160 games somehow, and I know that's really extrapolating, but that would be 60 stolen bases that you're getting from him. You'll take that.
No, you definitely would, and he only has 9 runs and 7 RBIs, but yeah, I think you picked him up for stolen bases. You built your team around needing those steals, and I think that you obviously on the flip side, you made sure you had power elsewhere. I think he's still a hold for me for sure too.
Yep.
But yeah, Simpson's going to be fun. I'm really curious to see what the Rays do with him, because I could see him hitting, first for a couple days and then sitting for 2 days. I could see him being a little frustrating that way as well.
Using him as an opener one day, the closer the next. Oh, back to outfield.
We might go old school Charlie Finley, come in as a pinch runner and only a pinch runner for a couple of years. It'd be fun.
Herb Washington, baby. Yep. Darian Blanco. Yep. He could be.
Oh God, I have nightmares about that. I have nightmares about those Royals, because that wild card game, they had like 38 steals against the A's.
Yeah, that's right.
It was terrible. What was the other? Oh, Terrence Gore.
Yeah.
Oh, nightmare. Yep. Somewhere, if Anthony Gialdi's still listening, he's laughing at me because he's a big Royals fan. He always brings up that game, but it was a nightmare of a game. So, well, thanks everybody for listening. Obviously, really always a lot of fun talking baseball with everybody, talking baseball with Jeff. If you have any questions or anything, you can hit up Jeff on Twitter. It's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. If you could please rate or review the podcast, we appreciate that as well. Other than that, hope he has a really good week. We're back at you next week talking more baseball. Have a good one and take care.